I don't want to tell my child that his moms ain't shit.
This isn't just the story of a superstar. It's the story of a man who had millions at his fingertips, fame on demand, a future guaranteed, and still watched it all slip away through chaos, ego, and decisions nobody could understand. Antonio Brown's story begins in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Miami, a place where most kids don't get opportunities, and where making it out isn't promised to anyone. He didn't grow up rich, he didn't grow up with stability, and he didn't grow up with the kind of support future NFL stars usually have. He was just a kid trying to survive, moving from house to house, sleeping on couches, and facing problems at home that pushed him out onto the streets at only 16 years old. At that moment, Antonio Brown was a nobody. No money, no plan, no real place to stay. But he had one thing that nobody could deny: talent. Before he ever reached college, Antonio tried to make a name for himself in high school football. He bounced between multiple schools because of academic issues and behavior problems. And every time he changed schools, he had to fight for a spot all over again. But whenever he stepped onto the field, everything changed. His speed stood out. His instincts were natural. Coaches knew he had something special, but they also knew he was one mistake away from losing it all. His talent took him to Central Michigan University, where he started writing the first chapter of his rise. He wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the strongest, but he was fast, smart, and explosive. In only 3 seasons, he caught more than 300 passes, scored 22 receiving touchdowns, and became one of the most dangerous returners in college football. And because of that, 194 players were chosen before him. Finally, with almost no expectations and zero spotlight, the Pittsburgh Steelers selected Antonio Brown with the 195th pick in the 6th round. No cameras, no applause, no big moment. A player almost nobody believed in, but this was the moment Antonio Brown transformed from a nobody into a future superstar. When Antonio Brown arrived in Pittsburgh, nobody expected anything from him. He wasn't supposed to be a starter. He wasn't supposed to be a star. He was just another 6th-round pick. He started as a return specialist, not the glamorous role, but the one where you need courage, vision, and a little bit of fearlessness. And Antonio had all of that. Every return he touched felt danger for the other team. Slowly, he earned trust. He earned snaps at wide receiver. He became the guy Ben Roethlisberger looked for when he needed a big play. In that instant, the entire league realized the truth. This 6th-round pick wasn't just good. He was special. From 2011 onward, Antonio Brown climbed fast. Each season, his numbers got better. His role got bigger. His confidence grew. By 2013, he wasn't just part of the Steelers. He was one of the most important players on the team. In 2014 and 2015, he exploded into full superstardom. Over 100 catches in a season. Over 1,000 yards again and again. Pro Bowls. All-Pro selections. Highlight plays every single week. He became the kind of player fans paid to watch. He wasn't just Antonio Brown. He was AB, one of the best receivers in the entire NFL. Large contracts. Endorsement deals. TV commercials. Sponsorships. Antonio Brown had officially gone from nobody to superstar. And for a few years, everything looked perfect. But what nobody knew at the time was that the same fire that brought him here would later be the fire that burned everything down. As Antonio Brown became a superstar, people inside the Steelers started noticing changes. He wasn't acting like the hungry sixth-round rookie anymore. He showed up late, skipped meetings, argued with coaches, and stopped taking criticism. His confidence turned into ego, and his ego started causing problems. One of the first big warning signs came when he live-streamed inside the locker room after a playoff win. That moment was supposed to stay private, but Antonio went live in front of thousands of people. He wanted attention, and he didn't care about the rules. That moment showed everyone that Antonio was starting to put himself before the team. People began asking why his behavior was changing so fast. Some said it was the fame. Others said it was the money. But many former players pointed to the huge hit he took from Vontae's Burfict in 2016, one of the hardest hits the NFL had seen. After that hit, Antonio didn't look like the same person. To be clear, he has never been diagnosed with CTE, but many people claim his attitude and personality changed a lot after that moment. After leaving the Steelers, Antonio Brown entered the most chaotic chapter of his career. In Pittsburgh, he was a superstar, but once he forced his way out, everything began moving fast and out of control. The Raiders traded for him and immediately gave him a massive contract, expecting him to be their new face of the franchise. Instead, the situation collapsed almost instantly. First came the helmet drama, then the frostbite incident, then the fines, arguments, and a complete breakdown in communication with the team. Before he ever played a single game, the Raiders released him, and he lost more than $30 million in guaranteed money in just a few weeks. Only days later, the Patriots signed him, hoping they could save his career. He played one game with Tom Brady and scored a touchdown, but the off-field problems followed him again. New accusations and legal issues appeared almost immediately, and New England cut him. Then came the unexpected comeback with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady gave him one more chance, and for a while, it looked like it might work. He even helped the team win the Super Bowl, proving that the talent was still there. But the calm didn't last. The following season, during a regular season game against the New York Jets, everything fell apart again. After a disagreement on the sideline, Brown took off his jersey, threw his equipment to the crowd, waved to the fans, and walked off the field in the middle of the game. It was one of the most shocking exits in NFL history, a moment that instantly became the unofficial end of his NFL career. From a sixth-round underdog to one of the best receivers in the league, and finally to a player walking away shirtless from the field, Antonio Brown's journey went from inspiring to unbelievable in just a few years. Now we're getting into what everyone has really been waiting for. Every channel on YouTube talks about Antonio Brown's rise, his talent, his chaos, and the drama that followed him everywhere. But here, we're doing something different. We're talking about his money, his financial journey, the deals he made, the millions he earned, the millions he lost, and whether his decisions actually helped him or destroyed everything he built. His rookie contract was tiny, just over $1 million for 4 years. And by 2012, he earned his first big payday, $42.5 million from the Steelers. Suddenly, the kid who once slept on couches was a millionaire. And from 2013 to 2018, he didn't just play like a star. He played like the best receiver in the world. He stacked all-pro seasons, broke records, and turned himself into a brand with endorsement money from Nike, Pepsi, and more. In Pittsburgh alone, he earned more than $70 million. But then the trouble started. Arguments with coaches, fights with teammates, social media explosions. The money was still coming in, but the behavior was getting worse. Eventually, the Steelers had enough, and Brown forced his way out.
Bro, I was wanted to get out of Pittsburgh because I was realizing we're not going to win the Super Bowl.
He landed with the Oakland Raiders and signed a $50 million contract with $30 million guaranteed. Financially, he was set for life, but he threw it away. The helmet drama, the frostbite incident, the fights with staff, the Raiders cut him before he ever played a single snap. The moment they released him, the entire $30 million disappeared. One of the biggest self-inflicted financial losses ever seen in the NFL.
The Raiders
Free!
Bro,
Oh my God!
got another shot with the Patriots. 1 year, $15 million. 1 game later, he was released again after off-field allegations. Most of that money vanished too. Then came Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, who gave him one last chance. Cheap deal, incentive-based. Brown played well, won a Super Bowl, and earned back some of what he lost. But late in the 2021 season, with less than $1 million in bonuses, just yards and catches away, he walked off the field shirtless in the middle of a game and lost every bonus on the spot. And now, we get to the part everyone has been waiting for. Every channel talks about Antonio Brown's career, his highlights, his chaos. But almost nobody explains what happened to his money, his financial journey. So in this part, we're going to break it all down. Did he handle his fortune well? Did he lose it all? And how did one of the most talented receivers of his generation end up in constant legal and financial trouble? Let's find out. At his peak, Antonio Brown earned more than $80 million in NFL contracts. In Pittsburgh, he was one of the highest paid receivers in football. Endorsements were coming in, merchandise was selling, and the money seemed endless. In 2019, Brown signed one of the biggest contracts of his life, $50 million, with $30 million guaranteed, and he lost all of it before he ever played a single snap. The drama, the fights, the meltdown, it all blew up the moment he arrived. And just like that, $30 million were gone. His last chance came in Tampa Bay, thanks to Tom Brady. The contract was small, but the bonuses were huge, and he was just a few catches and a few yards away from earning almost $1 million in extra money. But in the middle of a game, he took off his pads, ran off the field, and ended his NFL career on the spot. Instead of trying to repair his image in football, he tried to reinvent himself as an artist. He launched a music career under the name A.B. On social media, he pushed his new identity, music videos, concerts, studio clips, everything you'd expect from someone trying to build a second career. But here's the problem. The music didn't bring real money. Streams were low compared to the hype. Shows didn't sell out, and critics didn't take him seriously. It became clear that the music wasn't a stable business. It was more of a passion project fueled by fame, not real profit. There's no reliable public estimate of Antonio Brown's specific earnings from his music career, but it is not expected to be a significant amount for him. And instead of rebuilding his reputation, it actually made people wonder if he was losing control. Then came another strange headline. Antonio Brown accused of selling expensive watches that weren't real, fake pieces valued at over $150,000. More lawsuits, more money gone, and another hit to his reputation. After that, Brown tried becoming a team owner. In 2023, he bought control of the Albany Empire in the Arena Football League. But from the start, it was a mess. Players weren't paid, staff wasn't paid, there were fines, debts, chaos. And eventually the league kicked the entire team out. It was supposed to be a business success. Instead, it became another expensive collapse. And eventually, the situation got so out of control that the league had no choice but to remove the Albany Empire. And when you look at Antonio Brown's story, from the start all the way to today, it's impossible to ignore the pattern. The talent, the potential, the superstardom, all of it was real. But so were the conflicts. Year after year, issue after issue, lawsuit after lawsuit, headline after headline. And even after football, the chaos didn't stop. Most recently, during the editing of this very video, Brown found himself back in the news again, this time for a new arrest. According to the warrant, he allegedly grabbed a handgun after a celebrity boxing match and fired 2 shots at a man he'd fought with earlier that night. Another incident, another chapter, and another consequence that could follow him for a very long time. So where does that leave Antonio Brown now? A man with one of the most electrifying careers the NFL has ever seen and one of the most dramatic falls we've ever witnessed. A man who earned over $100 million, built a brand, changed the game, and then watched his financial stability, his opportunities, and his public image crumble piece by piece. But whether you see his story as a tragedy, a warning, or a lesson, one thing is undeniable. Antonio Brown's journey is one of the wildest in all of sports. From nothing to everything, to almost losing it all. And the final chapter? It hasn't been written yet. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to see more financial breakdowns, more rise and fall stories, and more brutally honest looks at the business side of the NFL, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because in this channel, we don't just tell stories, we uncover the truth behind the money.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer,
Yeah.
had a very shiny nose.
We know, and if you
Never
ever
saw him, you would even say it glows like a light.